The Hills Have Eyes 2 is a 2007 American horror film, and the sequel to the 2006 film The Hills Have Eyes, which was a remake of the 1977 horror film The Hills Have Eyes. The film follows several U.S. Army National Guardsmen as they fight for survival against the mutant people living in a military base in the New Mexico desert. The Hills Have Eyes 2 was directed by German film director Martin Weisch and written by father and son team Wes and Jonathan Craven. A graphic novel titled The Hills Have Eyes: The Beginning was published by Fox Atomic Comics to accompany the release of the film. It was released July 3, 2007. Plot: a captive woman, forced to breed mutant children, gives birth to a stillborn. She is then killed by mutant leader Papa Hades for being unable to provide healthy offspring. Later, scientists working in the New Mexico desert are attacked by Lech. A group of National Guardsmen in training are sent into the desert to resupply the scientists, who were working for the United States Department of Defense on installing a surveillance system. The soldiers arrive to find the camp apparently abandoned, and outside radio contact impossible due to the topography. When the radio operator, Spitter, picks up a faint distress call, the sergeant organizes a search and rescue mission, leaving behind Napoleon and Amber. The search party discovers the mutilated body of a scientist in the hills, while Amber and Napoleon pull another mutilated and dying scientist out of the portable toilet. On her way to join the group, Amber is attacked by Stabber, but a returning Mickey wards him off. Just as Napoleon catches up, Mickey is pulled into a bolt hole and killed. At the same time, the remaining troops are attacked by Lech, and the sergeant is accidentally killed by Spitter's friendly fire. Napoleon and Amber reunite with the group, but Spitter is killed by an unseen mutant sabotaging his rappelling gear as the others attempt to lower him down the hill. With their remaining gear stolen, they are forced to try to find another way down. The remaining troops soon locate their commanding officer, who has clearly become unhinged from recent events. He warns them of the mutants' plans to capture women for breeding and kill everyone else. He then commits suicide after telling them the only way down the hill is through the mining caves. After the group kills Stabber, Missy is captured and taken into the mining caves by Chameleon. Chameleon attempts to rape her, but Missy fights him off, only to be captured by Hades, who drives Chameleon away and savagely rapes Missy himself. The remaining troops attempt to rescue her, with the exception of Stump, who is killed by Lech while attempting to climb down the hill without ropes. After being separated from Crank and Delma, Napoleon and Amber cross paths with Chameleon, who they kill. They later locate a non-violent mutant named Hansel, while escaping Grabber. Grabber is killed by Crank after shooting Delma. After reuniting with Napoleon and Amber, Delma dies from his wounds, and Hansel leads Napoleon, Amber and Crank to the exit. Along the way, Crank is killed by a trapped crate of dynamite that he attempts to take with him, incidentally triggering an explosion. After killing Lech, Napoleon and Amber find the captive Missy, and all three fight Hades, who they manage to kill as well. The three leave the mines, but are watched by an unknown mutant using their surveillance equipment. Cast: the Army National Guard Michael McMillan as PFC David, Napoleon, Napoli. Jessica Stroup as PFC Amber Johnson. Jacob Vargas as PFC Crank, Medina. Lee Thompson Young as PFC Delma Reed. Flex Alexander as Sergeant Jeffrey, Sarge Millstone. Daniela Alonso as PFC Missy Martinez. Eric Edelstein as a CPL Spitter Cole. Rishad Strike as PFC Mickey Elrod. Ben Crowley as PFC Stump Locke. The Mutants Michael Bailey Smith as Papa Hades. Derek Mears as Chameleon. David Reynolds as Hansel. Tyrell Kemlo as Stabber. Gaspar Szabo as Grabber. Jason Oethel as Lech. Sector 16 workers Jeff Kober as Colonel Lincoln Redding. Jay Acavone as Dr. Wilson. Philip Pavel as Dr. Paul Foster. Archie Cow as Dr. Han. Others: Cecile Breccia as Pregnant Woman. Fatiha Quatali as Afghan woman, Joseph Bedalem as insurgent, Jeremy Goey as Clyde Martinez. Production. The Hills Have Eyes 2 began filming in the summer of 2006 in Ouarzazate, Morocco, where the previous movie was filmed. The alternate title was The Hills Have Eyes 2. The Hills Still Have Eyes. Writer Wes Craven's initial inspiration for the film came during a casual conversation with producer Peter Locke. Craven envisioned that the previous film's character, Brenda, traumatized by her suffering during the events of The Hills Have Eyes, joins the National Guard to overcome her fears. Barely finished with basic training, Brenda receives a call from her sergeant, who explains that they are sending a team back to the New Mexico desert to eradicate the remaining mutants. Her sergeant and the team need her, for she is the only one left alive who knows the mutants' location. Because of DeRaven's involvement in the television show Lost, her schedule was unable to accommodate the filming of the sequel. Wes Craven replaced her character, but retained much of the original concept, including the group of National Guard soldiers in training. A 1-minute teaser trailer was released on December 12, 2006. The teaser featured Insect Eyes, a song by indie folk recording artist Devendra Banhart. In addition to that, a series of clips with an introduction by Wes Craven and a small gallery can be found on the Fox Atomic website. Also on Fox Atomic is a soundless clip of the mutant grabber attacking Amber. Later on, a full-length trailer and 2 clips were released to Yahoo! Movies. Craven originally looked at Michael J. Bassett, the director of Death Watch, to take over the directing role, but ultimately chose Martin Weiss after scheduling conflicts with Bassett. Box office and reception. The Hills Have Eyes 2 was generally panned by critics, garnering an 11% rating from review aggregator Rotten Tomatoes. It grossed $37,405,247 worldwide. The film also grossed over $30 million in domestic DVD sales, for a total of $67,915,885. Soundtrack. The soundtrack was released on July 31, 2007 via Bulletproof Records label. Track listing: US edition The Hills Have Eyes, Loudlian, My Fork in the Road, Atreyu, Unretrofeed, The Dillinger Escape Plan, Redemption, Shadows Fall, Darkest Nights, As I Lay Dying, Hard Rock Hallelujah, Lordy, Prayers, In This Moment, I Know Hollywood and You Ain't It, Walls of Jericho, Throwing Stones, The End, Failure in the Flesh, Through the Eyes of the Dead, Sleeping with the Fishes, See, The Number 12 Looks Like You, Own Little World, Cell Dweller.